You're listening to the 808s and Joysticks podcast, now available on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Welcome to episode 3 of 808s and Joysticks, the show that bridges the gap between games, music, seasoned with pop culture. I'm Tairell, and joining me today as always is Tom.
It's been quite a busy week for gaming this week, and Fortnite is one of those games that has really been at the high. It's just come to mobile, it's hitting iOS first, and you've actually had a chance to play it, Tyrell.
Yeah, I have had a chance to play, and yeah, I'm pretty trash at the game on all platforms, so I even played on mobile, and it's really difficult to play on mobile, but it's optimized pretty well. Like, when I was playing the game, I was like, damn, this is exactly the same as the PS4 version, and I'm really it's really good to see that the game is fully working, and it's in working order. Obviously, the controls on touch games are always a bit, So, it would just have to. It's just one of them. You haven't really had a chance to play though, have you, Tom? Like, I did send you an invite code, but I know you're not really interested.
Yeah, so I have like you just said, I have been invited to play it, but for me, it doesn't really interest me. I have watched streams and I've watched people play it on mobile though. And I think I was watching IGN, and they played it on a iPhone 6 on a stream, and the footage was like it was choppy in places, but considering this is a game that plays on a home console and it's being played on a mobile, it was, like you said, pretty well optimized, and I think they've done a great job of allowing that crossplay, especially for something that's a 3D shooter that's constantly online. In my opinion, it's cross-platform games or mobile games done correctly, so they've done it the right way. It's something that I didn't really think we'd see this soon in gaming. It's quite a drastic change. Like, if you just said 3 years ago, oh, in 3 years' time you're going to be playing on your PlayStation and someone's going to be playing against you on a mobile, you would have probably laughed at someone.
Oh yeah, of course I would have laughed at someone. I would have been like, what do you mean? Like, I'm going to be playing with the same players that are playing on like a console or PC? Like, that's never going to happen. Just really down to the fact that like Sony and Xbox are so like secretive, and they always want to be like, we're going to have online on our platform and you're going to have online on your platform, and we're just going to keep it that way forever. But I am really enjoying the cross play aspect of things, and also like Nintendo Switch is getting into the mix as well with cross play as well with certain games, and yeah, I think it's really interesting. It's just gonna add to the Fortnite success, I guess, which has got PUBG shaking in its boots.
Yeah, so like you just said, PUBG actually came out today. It was live on Android. It was live on Android and iOS in the US, but earlier today it did come out live internationally on Android and iOS. It's the official PUBG on mobile. However, it's actually produced by a different company on mobile.
Isn't it?
So it's the official licensed game, basically.
Yeah, it's done by
Tencent Games.
Tencent, who did the official, I think the first PUBG mobile app was done by Tencent for China, because obviously China has a really big demographic over there for mobile gaming, especially these types of games. And they create the Chinese version, so it only makes sense for them to just carry on and just create the game for other territories. What's your thoughts on this, Tom? Because I'm thinking PUBG I think they're a little bit shaken by Fortnite's success.
So, apparently you can actually run the PUBG mobile game on Android 5.1 or above, and at least having 2 gigs of RAM, or you can play it on iOS 9 and on iPhone 5S. So you can actually play it on older technology than you can play Fortnite on mobile. However, whether that's a good thing or not is also a different story completely, because to optimize something for older hardware, you have to take a lot out of what the newer hardware can do. So you have to sort of downgrade the game for capabilities of older hardware. Now, luckily, the same devs aren't working on PUBG on mobile as they are porting it to console. Not taking shots at the devs or anything there, but when it was ported to Xbox to start with, and it was released on Xbox as early access, the game was horrifically optimized. Like, to be a sort of Christmas title, and to come out like that and have so many issues with a game like that, and so many bugs and optimization issues, even on PC, it's still not very well optimized. I think it's, something they've definitely lacked against Fortnite when this battle's been ensuing. The other thing is it's rated teen, whereas Fortnite is seen as more family friendly for the reason of it's got that cartoon style graphic, and there's not as much violence in it. Like, there's guns, but it's sort of shaded over because it's cartoons. And I don't know what your opinion on that is.
Yeah, I really feel the same, that PUBG was very poorly optimized for Xbox, and I don't really know why they're focusing on releasing a mobile game, but it's as if they were planning to release the mobile game, but because Fortnite just came out of nowhere and released their mobile app, PUBG were like, well, Bluehole Studios were like, oh damn, we've got to get our app out there now, because we can't have Fortnite and Epic, who they've accused in the past of stealing their concept, coming out with an app and furthermore getting even more success. So I'm just thinking to myself, PUBG just needs to fix their problems. Like, even at this point, I'm thinking, if you really want to like try and get success, I know you're an Xbox exclusive, but I would start trying to hold some talks with Sony as well to get your game on there, and try and get on other platforms. Like, I feel like it would really get everyone like by surprise if like PUBG was on Nintendo Switch or something like that. Like, they need to come up with something that's like that people didn't see coming, because at the moment Fortnite's got everything. It's got the family fun kind of like feel to it, even though it's a shooter. It's free to play, even though like that doesn't. It's not really. Wait, PUBG's not free to play, is it?
So this is the next thing I was actually going to mention. PUBG is free to play on mobile, but not on PC.
But not on PC. See, exactly.
Which is a turning point for people. Like, you can't freely cross-play the game. So, for example, Fortnite, now it's released on mobile. You sign in with your Epic Games account. You link your PlayStation or Xbox account to your Epic Games account.
Yeah.
And then you can access that on all platforms. So, for example, I'm playing on my phone and I'm on the train or something. Play a game on my phone, and then I don't know, when I get home, I start playing on my PlayStation, and I can just play on the same account. So if I've leveled up earlier, I still have all the same things that I had. I don't have to go and start over again on a new platform.
Yeah.
PUBG, you can do that. I'm guessing, it doesn't actually say. From all the stuff I've read, I haven't seen anything like that yet, but I'm going to guess that that's going to happen. But you have to purchase the game on PC if you want to play it on PC. And you have to purchase the game on Xbox if you want to play the game on Xbox. So why should it be free on mobile? Like, is it a different game on mobile? Is it only mobile only?
That's true. I would very much like to know why they've done that, because what's the differentiation between the mobile game and and the paid PC or console game, because Fortnite is free on all platforms, and Epic have a system in place where you can use your Epic account to connect all these different platforms together. So I don't know. I have no idea what PUBG is gonna do. They just need to think of something really fast, because their relevancy is dwindling. Like, it's not even like, say for example, if I check Twitch right now, I can guarantee you, like, PUBG is probably not like exactly.
Yes.
It's fourth. It's fourth to Fortnite is number one, which has been for a while now. Then it's League as usual. Then surprisingly, Sea of Thieves is number three, and then PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is number four. But I'm pretty sure yesterday it wasn't even in the featured games, was it, Tom? When we
So
was talking
yesterday
and checking,
I think it was fourth or fifth still. But if you compare the numbers, so Fortnite I think had over 100,000 viewers, whereas PUBG had probably 30,000-40,000 viewers.
Well, right now it's Fortnite's got 197,000 viewers, but PlayerUnknown has got 72,000 viewers. So, like, look at how much that is compared.
So it's still double the figures.
And for a fact, people are probably like, the reason why it's a lot more on PUBG right now, because people are like live streaming the mobile version as well.
Yeah. So again, I'm still looking at this PUBG mobile release, and they state that it's called PlayerUnknown's Battleground mobile. And the fact that they put mobile in front of it makes me think it's a completely separate game. So PUBG is free to play on mobile, but it's not cross-play between PC. I don't want to go out and say that's fact, but from what I'm looking at, that seems to be what it is.
Oh,
Because...
wait! I'm looking at it right now as well. I'm looking at an article, and it says it's a faithful adaptation of the PC version. So yeah, it's not going to. It's free to play that includes microtransactions. So I'm thinking it's probably it's probably not gonna have crossplay. Not like by the looks of it, they're not trying to do anything like that. They're not trying to implement crossplay. I think even the Chinese app doesn't have crossplay with the PC version. I can't quote myself on that, but I can't see any information here about crossplay, and this is an article from Forbes. So I don't really know what PUBG are going to do to combat this, but yeah, as I said, Fortnite have got them in their bag. Like, that is it. Like, and suing them is not going to help your case either, because everyone's just going to look at PlayerUnknown like stop being such a wimp. Well, not a wimp. Like, stop being such a crybaby about, like, the fact that, your genre that you've supposedly quote unquote created, you didn't create, you just popularized, is now being copied by several different developers and being utilized in such different ways that you didn't capitalize on. Like, PUBG and like Fortnite are two different games in my opinion.
Yeah, so going back to this whole thing where the creator of PUBG keeps saying that Fortnite is basically stole his idea from him, and he's now taken, like, they've taken more of the market share and took the attention off him after he's just started this company, which I understand from a development point of view. If he's made a game and someone comes in and takes the idea and does better in the marketplace, well, at the end of the day, you're going to be angry because someone's come and took the idea you've worked like 3 or 4 years on and then improved on it. But the key word there is they've improved on it, or they've made it unique in their own way. So if you take PUBG and Fortnite and put them side by side, the only thing they have in common is that Battle Royale mode.
Yeah, exactly.
And even then, the gameplay is different. So the only thing that is the same is the fact the circle comes in and there's 100 people.
Yeah,
and
but
I don't think you can copyright something like that.
I remember you were saying, you know, we all had this in like we was all well, was it all of us? It was just me and Tom. We was talking about the whole concept of like, yeah, if you was really wanted to copyright it, what's stopping someone from changing the circle closing in to a square? And that's a really good point that Tom brought up. Like, people will just find ways to get around it, and you can't copyright something as such a simple mechanic like that. Like, it's not gonna work. And best believe like someone else has done that idea before you. Like, that's not a unique like idea.
Yeah, so it happens with everything really. If you look at any technology that's ever existed, any invention, someone will invent it, and they'll have a technology that they can patent, and no one else can use that technology to get. So, for example, we'll go for like a heated windscreen. Someone's got a heated windscreen, they patent it. So Ford have had heated windscreens for a long time, and they've had them patented. I know this is going a bit off topic, but it'll come to a sort of full circle in a minute. Now, if another person wants to come in and make a car with a heated windscreen, they can't use the same technology that Ford has used. However, Ford haven't patented a heated windscreen or copyrighted a heated windscreen because they can't do that. They can only do the implementation of that, which they have done. And if someone comes along and gets a new way to do that, then there's no way you can stop them from doing that.
Yeah, there's no.
So what it comes around to is that PUBG have implemented something in a certain way. Fortnite have come around, implemented it with some of the same features, so it's a battle royale mode, which is the heated windscreen, but then it's using different technology, so the gameplay is different and the code behind it is different. So they haven't copied from anything. They've took an idea and made it their own. They've took inspiration from something, But PUBG took the battle royale thing from other people have invented battle royale before. Like you said when we discussed this before off the show, that obviously battle royale was a film before it was a game.
Yeah, it was. But and not a lot of people know this, but Hunger Games actually took a lot of elements from the original Japanese film Battle Royale. It's essentially the same thing. There's a bunch of kids. They've all got to fight each other to the death. Hunger Games, what is it, like districts or some shit like that?
Yeah, it's districts and Hunger Games.
They're all going to fight each other to death. Like, either way, it's a straight rip off. But I don't think Hunger Games had enough changes for them not to be warranted as a copycat or like a remake, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so I know exactly what you mean, and the other point that sort of leads into what you've just said is that Brandon Green, who created PUBG, he modded DayZ to make PUBG, but DayZ was already a mod of Arma, so he essentially modded a mod to make a game, right? And then in Arma 2, he also did I think it was Stranger Games mod, which basically it was his own battle royale mode that he modded on the side of it, and it was based off the Hunger Games, but he had to change some of the stuff in that for copyright reasons anyway. So he had to scatter the weapons around so he didn't get sued for using the Hunger Games idea.
See, so like he's essentially he's a hypocrite. That's what he is, isn't he? Like, I know it's like a harsh word to use, but he's very hypocritical because he's even a guy that's making mods out of other people's mods, like, and yet now he wants to try and like sue everyone that uses the battle royale genre. He needs to get off his high horse.
Yeah, so obviously he's threatening to sue for the reasons that I think he will. If he threatens to sue it, then they might do something about it and give PUBG a little bit more credit. However, because of the fact that he can't do anything like that, end of the story, Epic Games make Unreal Engine. Fortnite is made in Unreal Engine. Obviously, it's going to be Epic Games make it. PUBG is also made in Unreal Engine. So when they made PUBG, they would have had to sign a contract with Epic Games to license that engine. Now, terms and conditions and everything speaking, there's a lot of sort of legalities that would have to go about for them to sue the licensor of the engine that makes their game. So if they legally can do that, then they can try, but if they lose relationship with the people that license their engine, they can revoke that license if they have the right to.
Yeah.
Which basically means they end up with no game.
Exactly. Imagine if they actually revoke the license for PUBG. That's it. PUBG's finished. Like, it is finished. Like, yet you want to try and sue Epic. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It makes no sense why you would want to sue the people who power your game. Because without the engine, you would have nothing. Because he literally made the game out of free assets. I don't even know why people play the game, to be honest.
Yeah, I understand why people played the game. It's a good game. There's no doubt in that. You know, he didn't take something and really make it into a good game mode to play. And the only reason that, so he originally wanted to use squares as well for the actual I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, the circle that closes in.
Kind of like,
he wanted that to be
Fortnite,
originally a square.
They called it the Eye of the Storm, innit? So
yeah, so that's it. It's the storm. So yeah. They do call that the same thing in both games. But yeah, it's the square that comes in. That's what he wanted. Whereas he actually had a circle because his programming ability wasn't good enough to make a square.
Oh, okay.
So realistically, if better programmers come along and said we're going to make it a square, like we've said before, and change a little bit, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to do that. There's also the fact that someone could come in and take this idea and add a timer to it of some sort. So instead of a circle closing in, you know, sections get locked off, and then you have to kill everyone in that section until there's one person left, and then you can continue. So I think that was a little bit more like the actual original Battle Royale. But there's loads of ways you can take this and, you know, small little variations on it, and it's a different game.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't mean it's not using the Battle Royale idea, but you can't license something that's an idea so broad. That's the thing in a creative industry. You can't license something so broad and expect to get all the revenue for something like that, unless it's a technology that you've created and no one else can do it that way. Which makes sense, because obviously you've worked hard for that and you've made that technology and built it up from the ground. But yeah, that was there's a lot that we've just spoke about there that's really showed how not toxic the game industry can be, but how hard the game industry can be sometimes. You know, you're an up-and-coming developer, you make a big game, and then a big company can come in and just say, right, we're going to take that and we're going to improve on it, and there we go. Like, you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you got... and then in this case, I don't think Epic have looked at PUBG and thought we're gonna really rip it off. Like, they've got the whole crafting element in there, which is a really integral part of gameplay for Fortnite. So I feel like they may have taken some type of like inspiration, but to go on and say it's like a copycat or a clone, I don't think that's right. But I totally agree with you. It just goes to show, like, you know, you could be on top one time and then, you know, it only takes someone to tweak the formula ever so much and add their own type of spin onto something, and it can make an even better, more accessible game than the one that you've created. And sometimes that's just the game. And I say, "Look, I don't want to be ironic. Well, it's just the game sometimes. That's just how it is. It's just business." And I think it's really sad. Like he's made a like PlayerUnknown has made a lot of money from PUBG already. Like I don't really know what his thoughts are on if he wants to make more money. I don't know. I don't really know what this is all about. But I would tread carefully and make the right decisions before next thing you know, PUBG's tanked off the map, and we ain't never hearing about that game again. It's gonna become another DayZ or another H1Z1, just like all the games that he worked on previously.
Yeah, so I just want to sort of end that thing that we just spoke about with a quick little quote from Pablo Picasso, and the quote is, "Good artists copy, great artists steal." And basically what he's saying there is, good artists copy someone else's work, but great artists take inspiration from that work, steal it, and then add more to it. So instead of copying, they take it and improve on it. Yeah. Which makes sense. It's not literally saying they steal the work, but it's just saying that, to be creative, you have to have a source of inspiration still. And the inspiration for Fortnite, as they even said during the Fortnite trailer, was PUBG. It doesn't mean they copied it though. They're inspired by their game, and they're allowed to promote the game with PUBG in the trailer because of the fact that Epic Games licensed PUBG. But it shows that, people can take something and improve on it, and there's nothing really you can do about it if it's vastly different.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if it's vastly different, there is already, the reason. It's different. It's not the same. It's not a copy. So I don't really see what the problem is. And, yeah, I totally agree with that quote from Picasso about, good artists copying, great artists steal, because it's true. Like, they've literally, stolen a certain aspect of a game, but then they've also built new mechanics that weren't in that existing game and made it popular. So popular that you've got Drake and Travis Scott playing your game. Like, come on now, dude. I think it broke the Twitch records for views or something like that, because you got these megastars that are all interested in playing this one game. I've never seen anything like this before. Not in my opinion, I've never seen anything like this before. I don't know about you, Tom.
So yeah, no one's really seen anything like this before, I don't think. At one point, I don't even think it was their highest point, but at one point, Drake and Ninja were playing without Travis Scott and Juju, and they had 430,000 people watching them play Fortnite. That's a lot of people watching two people play a game on the internet.
That's insane.
Now, yeah, a lot of the media has said that it's Drake that's done this, but you don't forget that Ninja also is just recently become the highest subbed streamer on Twitch. So that also played into the publicity that he can get from that as well.
Yeah, and so also he is the number one Fortnite player in the world as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that also works in his favor. The fact that it's the number one game right now. He's the number one player. He's playing with arguably the number one rap R&B artist. I would even arguably say pop artist in the world. Then you've got Travis, who's also a very, very huge artist. He's linked up with Kylie Jenner. That's getting him in a lot of circles that he didn't even know he could get into. Just for a Fortnite player, that's wild. His life's changed now because of this one moment.
You've also got, not forgetting Juju, who is an NFL player, recently signed to FaZe Clan to play Twitch games for them. So he's just signed to FaZe to play on Twitch. So again, it's another way, it's another sort of link between famous personalities outside of gaming and sort of streaming and gaming coming into one.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
it's completely different to what we've ever seen before, like you said.
With like the whole phase clan thing, like phase of like they've come like through the ranks, like from like the Call of Duty days, and like for them to actually get this big, like I never expected it. But like yeah, phase is still going pretty strong, and they actually link up with a lot of like you know the trap rappers like Lil Yachty and Ugly God and all of those guys there. They link up and they play on stream. You know, all of the typical like kind of like YouTube like stars that all hang around with like No Jumper and stuff like that, like Zoe Burgers and that. They all play like streaming. Like I know I don't really like those streamers. I don't feel like they really represent us as gamers that much. But I know there's a demographic there. And I just like the fact that like I can see like artists that I listen to, like I can see them play games. I can have a chance to play a game with them as well. Like it's just like a more of a chance to like getting closer to like your favorite artist, for example.
Well, it's that thing that growing up for us basically in the 90s and people before us in the 80s and stuff, where gaming wasn't as big. Gaming and sort of sitting on a computer a lot of the time had a stereotype behind it of, okay, these people like they're nerds or they're geeks, and this is where people think they should be and whatever. And there's a stereotype surrounding that of how people expect you to act or look if you play games or are interested in certain media things. However, now because of the fact influential people, so people such as Drake, who's a multi-millionaire or a multi-million-pound artist, is playing this game with a streamer who, again, possibly fits more into your average stereotype of a gamer, but they can play a game together, and that's socially acceptable, and 430,000 people watch it. That wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. I don't think you would have seen like famous musicians back then going and doing something like this.
But I'd say like,
but it also,
I was gonna say, I can't really expect like, say like I felt like 50 Cent was like the Drake of like that time, like you know back in the day, like how big was 50? But like 50 came out with two kind of solid games, to be honest. Like I played the 50 Cent games, and those games are pretty good. Like. So maybe not 50, but I'm saying like in terms of like playing with them, like that was unheard of. Like you would never have a chance to play with like, you know, like Kanye West. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you would never have a chance to do things like that. Like, you know, imagine like running FIFA with like Jay-Z. Like you'd never be able to do that.
Yeah,
play Street Fighter with like someone like another like notable artist. Like you would that's really rare, but like the chance of that happening now is like, it seems like a lot more, like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so it's become, like we've mentioned, it's become a lot more common for people to openly advertise playing video games or watching anime. So there's a lot of people that even start YouTube channels. They've like famous artists already, or famous personalities already, that will then go and start a YouTube channel that isn't related to their stuff, but like what they personally like in their spare time. And I find that really interesting that these people are then able to like access another creative side that people are allowed to see, whereas before you couldn't really see behind that.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't really see behind the music, could you?
No, that's the thing. The only time you would see that is in like a magazine interview or a news interview, and a lot of the time that's when they're promoting something, because that's how PR works. That's how press works. You have to promote something if you want to get a lot of sales. It's simple as that. But you don't really see the real them all that time because management and everything is involved. So they have to stick to a certain persona to try and sell to a target demographic. Whereas the modern era is completely like changing the whole game in that sense. The fact that you can just, turn up and play a game, and that's good PR for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just yeah, it's just really wild. Like I just didn't feel like something like this would ever happen for us. And like
Yeah.
maybe this would be the new way for artists to try and do PR now. Maybe they like play a game on a stream, or you know like run duos with like the number one streamer, or like just like drop in like a random game or something, and be like, oh god, like I know there's like a lot of trolling videos out there of like people impersonating artists, but like maybe like somehow in a game they can like contact the studio to give them like a special type of like tag, so it's like the official account of like the artist or whatever. Like it would be a good way to like do PR, because it's very different to like play a game instead of just doing the typical, oh, we're going on the press run, let's go to Breakfast Club, let's go to here, let's go to there, let's do a magazine article, let's just the typical things, rather like you can go and do something different.
Yeah, so I just want to point out as well that this is not the first time famous personalities have played on stream of games. So like massive artists and actors, personalities before have played games on stream at E3 and things, or EA Access events and stuff like that.
We all remember the infamous
So,
Snoop Dogg smoking a blunt playing Battlefield, doing trash.
So that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, so you have like Snoop Dogg, Terry Crews, Wiz Khalifa.
I think was Jamie Foxx there as well?
Yeah, I think Jamie Foxx was there as well. But there's a whole variety of artists and personalities and creative people in the industry that are sort of pushing this creative form out into the world, and especially at a time where, like, without getting political, but the US government are trying to pull down video games once again by calling them violent. It's nice to see big personalities like that play in a game for 430,000 plus people, and those people can see that games aren't bad, games are good, and they bring people that you would never think that would play a game together.
Yeah,
and I think that's the wonderful thing about games.
It's the whole social aspect, isn't it? Like, it's connecting people online together, and even if you're like you're alone or something, like, I'm not trying to get too like sad, because I feel like we should really explore this in like another episode about like how games affect people and how they can how it could help a person when they're alone or whatever. Yeah, it can really connect you to like a digital place where like these people are now could be like some of your like friends, like your most close friends. And
yeah, and I also
helpful.
think I just want to add to that before, just quickly, because I think it links really well. As you said, people are lonely playing games, but a lot of people normally play games and feel alone because they can't say that to other people. Whereas now it's quite openly, accepted to play video games all the time.
Yeah, like you can actually ask like someone who you wouldn't necessarily think would play a game, or wouldn't play the normal games outside of the commercial stuff, like your typical FIFA COD players, which is just casuals. Like you can then ask them like, oh, you want to play like Fortnite? And then they'll be like, yeah, of course I play Fortnite. But oh yeah, like I have no one to play with. And then like that, like those two people, like mutually now they're connected to each other between like one game that's like become popular, which is caters to a hardcore player and the casual players as well.
Yeah, and people I know, and I think you probably know as well, have built relationships through gaming. And that's a crazy thing.
Yeah,
it's something that we could easily go into a lot more, but it's crazy to think that people have built a relationship over the internet through a creative form of media.
Yeah, I definitely. Karen.
I was just going to say, I think that's, It's really pays testament to the hard work that people do on games and the love and effort that's put into them, and the fact that, you know, people of all ages, all backgrounds, you know, all areas of the industry, of like every industry, so like even people in film and media sections will still play another form of media and promote it. It's something that we've not seen that much of previously. A lot of the media fights against each other.
Yeah. Well, it's, it's who it wants to be, Games is the youngest media out of all of them in it, so it's always a bit of like a touchy subject, Games and like how can they affect, and how much, like, how can they capitalize off it and stuff like that. But I know, speaking of like love and like care and dedication going in, like Epic Games dropped $12 million worth of assets for the Paragon game. And I know you was just talking about how much love and attention goes to a game. Like, why? I just don't know why they did that, but I feel like they must be making so much money on Fortnite. They just don't give a shit.
So basically, Paragon was their MOBA, if you don't know, and it was a massive flop. There's a lot of MOBAs that came out around the same time, and Paragon flopped completely. Now, luckily, they've made that up with Fortnite and the Battle Royale game that they've got now. However, people still worked on these games, and there's a lot of our assets that are there that haven't been used because no one really played that game and it flopped. So, Epic Games, I think this is a really good thing, decided they're going to give it away. It's £12 million worth of assets, well, $12 million worth of assets, like you said. And they've gave it away because obviously they own the Unreal Engine. So that includes 20 AAA quality characters with respective skins, animations, visual effects, and dialogue. That's a lot of stuff.
That's right? Lot.
That alone is a lot of stuff.
Like, but then some insane games and stuff can be made now out of these assets. Like, you just know you're gonna see some good mods. Yeah.
But that's the small bit. So then there's over 1,500 environmental components that they've released as well.
Wow.
Which is again crazy. And then adding to that, Epic once again added a little more and said, we're also going to release millions of dollars worth of additional asset packs throughout the spring and summer of the game. Nice. So basically everything that has been put into that game, art wise, sound effects wise and stuff, animation wise, they're releasing it for people to use on their engine and make the games. So those assets that people worked possibly 2 to 3 years on, don't go to waste. Because if you imagine you're a game developer, you're an artist, you've made this high quality AAA character, you've animated all of it, you've done different skins for it, you've then made sure all the dialogue is okay. The game releases and no one plays it and it flops. And that's like 2 years of hard work for you, just like gone.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like it's a good thing for us, obviously, because we do game design and you do game tech, and I think it's really great for us because we can use all these assets and whatnot. But at the same time, I feel for the devs and stuff like that, and I really do feel for them because it's a little bit sad.
Yeah, so I did make a joke about this when the article was actually released, and everything was going on when they did release the assets. But Unreal Tournament, there's 20 new playable characters if someone wants to make a new Unreal Tournament. Yeah, there's easily enough stuff there for someone to come in and do that. Now, I think more than one person's had that idea. I don't think I'm the only person in the world that's had that idea. I think 70% of people that have seen this article have had that idea, and I think 30% of them will go ahead and try and make a game. And I think you'll end up with like 3,000 Unreal tournaments by the end of the year. But one of them might be good. So it's good for Epic to be able to see people use these assets in their engine, because they still get money from people using these assets if the game does well. That's the other thing. They're still making a profit from stuff if something long term happens.
Yeah.
But it also means if people want to use all these assets, they have to buy into the engine as well. So, I mean, smart business decision, but also great decision for the industry, in my opinion. It's definitely something that's been lacking. When I've tried to make games before, one of the major things for me is that you can't, when making something in 3D, you can't grasp how much work goes into like animations and skins and stuff until you try it. But it also helps when trying to flesh out a game that you've got a playable character that's got all that stuff there, because it makes everything else just that little bit easier for you, and it will push you along maybe a little bit more. And I think, to be honest, that will probably inspire a few people that are starting in the games industry to possibly push on and do something that they wouldn't have had the chance to before, because they've got these assets for free.
Yeah, it's gonna really, like, we're gonna see some upstarts of, like, some budding devs that really enjoyed the game, and now they're gonna try and be like, well, I didn't want the game to end, so they're gonna try and recreate it, but they might try and fix all the problems with the original game, and then who knows, we might have the next big genre on our hands.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, but it's never known. But yeah, moving on. We have the PlayStation Plus games for the month. We're probably going to do this every month now, and just not really talk about them, just say what games are on there. And we know that PlayStation Plus is ending on the PS3 by next year. Can you clarify, Tom? Yes, next year.
So yeah, I believe it's March of next year.
Oh, it's
so I believe they announced that there's a month left, not a month, a year left, and then they stop on the PS3 and PS Vita.
March 8th, 2019, PlayStation Plus games will not be given out on PlayStation 3 or PS Vita. So after March 8th, that's it. I'm pretty sure that's Sony saying we're packing it in for those consoles now, and it's really sad because I think the Vita was a very underappreciated handheld. Well, let's not even get into that right now. We've got Bloodborne.
Before you say that, I was just gonna say that means PS5's on the way.
Oh, fuck out of here.
I just feel we should cover this a little bit for like 2 minutes. There's rumours of PS5 this week. Obviously, there's that information that's going to end. But there's been rumours since the start of the year. However, the PS4 Pro released in November 2016. That was like a year ago, a year and a few months. Do I think they're going to come out with a new console now or at the end of the year? No, it would be a dumb business decision. Sony aren't really into making dumb business decisions. So
they kind of do sometimes. They kind of do some dumb business decisions.
I think they've learned. Yeah, I hope they would have learned.
Well, I hope they don't release no fucking PS5. No one needs a PS5 right now. But yeah, I feel like it's either going to be a PS5 or it's going to be another additional console they're going to try and come out with. Either way, it's stupid. I'm not purchasing it. I'm fine with my PlayStation 4 for the moment. Maybe I'll get a Pro. Maybe I'll get a Pro in the future if I want something a bit more meaty. But at the moment, I don't have a reason to get no Pro, and I'm definitely not going to have a reason to get no PlayStation 5. So that's about it, really. Sony needs to stop the games. That's what it needs to... No, not even trying to be like the pun intended, but they need to stop fucking about. And just...
But like you said anyway, the fact that they're cutting PS3 and PS Vita off now means that more high quality games are coming to PS4 on or PS Plus for PS4, which is good for us, as we both own PlayStation 4 consoles.
Yeah.
And it does mean, like you just said, we got Bloodborne for free this month, which is a game I've been wanting to play for a long time. I was actually going to purchase it last month, didn't get round to doing that, and I'm really glad I didn't, because I've now got it for free.
Yeah, exactly. Like it is a great game. I actually have Bloodborne purchased. It's on borrow at the moment. Goddamn, Brandon, can you give me my game back? And yeah, there's also the remake of Ratchet and Clank. You get that for free as well, which is just a really good remake of Ratchet and Clank. Two PlayStation 3 games this month is the remaster of Legend of K Anniversary and Mighty Number 9, which is a very trash game. I don't know why they're giving that away, but we know why.
I mean,
because it's trash.
It's free, so
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
going to complain.
It's free.
I have downloaded it. I haven't got around to playing it.
I would say it's free. It works on your PS Vita. It's one of them, innit? And then there's two PS Vita picks which are also available on PlayStation 4. This is called Bombing Busters and Claire Extended Cut. I have no idea what those two games are, but yeah, check those out. And then we have Xbox games for gold. Even though we don't own an Xbox, we're all for all platforms over here. Damn, games for gold is it's kind of great. We've got Super Hot, which is free. Puzzle game Quantum Conundrum from Portal Designer. Trials of a Blood Dragon, which is basically Trials. If you know Trials, we've all played Trials as like kids and stuff like that. But it's like set in the Blood Dragon universe. It's a pretty fun game, to be honest. I have played Trials of a Blood Dragon. Yeah, and that's about it for games for gold. And that's really all we have for the gaming section.
Well, just hang on just a second there, because some news that happened this month, Twitch Prime is now giving away free games.
Oh.
If you have Amazon Prime and you link that with your Twitch account to get Twitch Prime, you can now get free PC games each month. So,
damn, do you know this?
I got 6 free. I got 6 free games this month. 6 free games this month.
6 free games.
6 free games. So, bear in mind, I pay for Amazon Prime, so I get this included. I got Tales from Candledeep, Tomb of Annihilation. No idea what that game is, but it's free. Super Hot, game I've wanted for a long time. Got it for free.
Game.
Also on Xbox Games for Gold. Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun. Looks an okay game. Oxenfree is a very good indie game that I've wanted to play. Mr. Shifty, I think you've played that.
It rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, I mean, I don't know how I got this one, to be honest. I'm not sure if it is the full collection, but Devil May Cry HD collection.
Oh, I didn't know you got that.
For free.
That's hard.
So, I mean, there's also Humble Monthly, which you can buy into each month, but free games wise for all platforms now until Nintendo's comes later in the year. I think whatever platform you play on now, there's this service available where you get these games for free, and it opens people up to play games they maybe wouldn't have played before. So I don't think a lot of people would play Super Hot if it wasn't free.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of people would play Oxenfree. By this I mean like more casual gamers. So people that would pay for Xbox Live to play online games with their friends and normally just play a few games. They now have the ability to play these games whenever they want because it's free.
It's funny you should say that, because remember, like, we discovered Super Hot in college. This is way before the game was even gonna be developed into a full game on a website which was about game jams, and we used to bash the shit out of Super Hot and like see who could do the leveling the fastest and stuff like that. And yeah, for like how far it's come, it's an amazing game, and I really recommend to try and pick up Super Hot because it's crazy. I heard it's even crazier in VR as well. So if you've got a VR headset, then I would definitely check it out on there as well.
Yeah, it's definitely got a unique art style to it, and
yeah, and that slowdown mechanic as well.
Yeah, it's different. I think I like the fact that games like that are being given away for free still, because there was that point where, like we've just said, they're obviously ending the PS3 rollout next year, which means more high quality games for PS Plus on PS4, because there's been a lot of indies on there. But I do like the fact they're still giving out some of these indie games, and I hope that doesn't stop, because, you know, having old AAA games to play is all nice and everything, but
yeah,
a lot of people don't play these indie games unless they're given for free. And
yeah,
the fact
exactly.
that, you know, there still are, and now they're happening on PC, on Twitch Prime, so you can pick indie games up for free on PC sometimes anyway. But
yeah,
the fact that it's now on Twitch Prime, you know, is another added incentive for people to just play that game because it's free.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think overall they're really good for the industry as a whole. Like that was quite a positive discussion about the industry, I think. But moving on from that, we're going to move on to films and TV, and Atlanta is what we've been watching again. So since we last talked about Atlanta, episode 2 and 3 have come out. Do you want to go into detail about episode 2? There's possibly going to be spoilers if you haven't watched it yet, so skip forward 5 or 10 minutes.
I would say we don't really need to like get into like the nitty gritty about Atlanta, because I feel like I don't want to turn out into like we're not gonna be like a weekly review like show. We don't need to like review it every like bi-weekly or whatever. But yeah, I just want to say like episode 2 was another solid episode. I can see that this season is even more abstract than the last season. Like it just doesn't follow a direct, like you don't really know the timeline of like what's going on. So we don't know if this is the next day, next week, next month, or even next year. Like we don't know when this takes place after the first episode. So it's like really abstract. But they did say there was influence by like short clips and things like that. So I felt like they want to try and like, you know, create like something that's like a little bit more like it is a TV episode, like so it's like full length, but it's like they want to try and convey kind of like the idea of like short form media, if you know what I mean. And episode 2 was really cool. Episode 3 was really good as well. I actually only watched this morning, and I felt like it was a really good episode. Made me laugh quite a lot, but it was also again really serious, like in the way how like relatable, serious, and but also kind of like uncomfortable, like watching it. Especially like that scene in the studio, like that was so uncomfortable to watch because like he wasn't really doing much wrong, but he really wasn't doing that much wrong that warranted him to potentially getting like this shit be like kicked out of him. Like he wasn't doing that much wrong, but yeah, like I think it's cool. I don't know. What else would you say about the episode 2 and 3, Tom?
So, episode 2, I watched last week. It was okay. But episode 3 was my favorite episode of the season so far. Like you said, it made me laugh a lot of the time, but it also covered a lot of serious aspects, like a lot of serious issues. And the fact that, like, you know, when they're in the studio, the industry isn't as nice as people think it is. And I think Donald Glover tries to portray that a little bit and get that across in his writing, which is nice. But I also think that they covered the racism.
Yeah, they definitely. I feel like they definitely covered the whole, like the whole thing about racism and like how they assume that a black guy can't have $100 bill, but then like when the white guy walked up to the counter, he got served straight
Mm-hmm.
away with $100 bill. So it was kind of showing off like even though you can have the same type of money, doesn't necessarily you're gonna get the same type of like treatment and service. And it just was like a big spiral of how like Ern just got fucked over for the rest of the day. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Even
and
though
it was
really harsh.
that little detail when he went up to the counter and he didn't get served, and then the white guy behind him got served, and then he walked up to him and was like, "Excuse me, I've just tried to play with a $100 bill," and there's that subtle sort of lift of the jacket to show a gun,
Yeah, like
and that was like a really subtle way of getting that point across. Like before that, it was like, okay, it might have been $100 bill, and then you're like, okay, it might have been something, and then he lifts it up, and you're like, okay, well, that's blatantly racist.
yeah.
But it was subtle. It wasn't in a way that offended anyone. It got the point across, and that was it. It made the point that it needed to make.
Yeah, exactly. And
But
and it wasn't even like he was talking about like it couldn't necessarily mean that like he was police as well, because obviously we know that that's a big issue in America. But yeah, I agree with you. It's like the subtlety, like how they did it. Like they didn't have to outrightly say it. Just by watching, you could see. You almost felt the uncomfortableness, like of the scene, like in yourself. And like, yeah, I thought it was really brilliant how he did it. And yeah, Atlanta. It's an amazing show. I know it's just going to be great.
it was nice to hear a new Paperboy song as well.
Yeah, it was.
Something we haven't heard. So I don't know if we've covered this before, but Donald Glover and his brother do a lot of the soundtrack for the show as well. So it's something that we hadn't heard in like that much in the first 2 episodes. So obviously it's been playing, but it's not the fact that Paperboy's released something. So it's nice to have like a Paperboy song where obviously the lyrics are referenced throughout the show and stuff like that. So you can sort of see more of the writing aspect as well. I think it's something different that it's got compared to other shows that have musical artists in them, rappers. So, for example, Drake and Top Boy, or 50 Cent in Power. That's completely unrelated because they don't actually cover music on those shows. But you understand, like, I don't think I was making a point there, to be honest. I think I was trying to make a point, and it just did not go anywhere. But yeah, we'll move it on because that point didn't seem to go anywhere. But this point might. So Stranger Things cast this week announced that they're actually getting a pay rise. Now, considering these kids are aged between 12 and 16 on the show, they're also getting paid the same as the adults, but they're getting paid £250,000 per episode now. That's crazy.
That's like, it's literally like, I don't know. I just don't know how, like, what are they going to do with all that money?
So this is the conversation I was having earlier, right? At that age, at like 13, 15, if someone gave me, so per episode that is, so if someone gave me like after 10 episodes, £2.5 million, I don't know what I'd do with that money. I'd spend it on stupid stuff that I didn't need. I'd definitely go out and like just buy any shit that I see. I'd buy a car because I can buy a car, but even though I can't drive it, I'll like leave it on my drive and sit in it. You know, that
leave it on my drive and sit in it.
that's what kids would do at that age with that much money. I don't think there's that much you can do. Obviously, I think it's going to be put in like a fund of some sort that they can't access until they're over a certain age. But you know, you can drive at 16 in some places in America. So the ones that are 16 are able to have that money and buy a car. I don't know if it's good or bad for them, considering basically all of them, this is their first big gig.
Like, yeah, I don't want them to turn into those child stars that get really fucked up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, like Macaulay Culkin is fucked forever now. Shia LaBeouf is also fucked. There's so many of them that are just fucked. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really know like how to really, explain, but it's just not as, it's just not that great, is it really? But
Yeah, I think it's too much money, too young. But I do hope that they put it somewhere for a sort of in a trust or something, because I do personally I think it's not that much money. So in the whole scheme of things, they do a good job on that show, and there's no reason why the kids can't get paid the same as the adults. And considering how big of a success the show has been over the last 2 seasons, going into season 3, I also don't see why they can't give them a pay rise. And I think they're at that level now where they could walk out and get something else for that money. So it's only fair that it stays at that money for them whilst they're on the show. I don't know if you feel the same.
No, I really do. I really do feel. I feel the same. I feel like the output of the show and like how much reach it has and like how popular it's got. Yeah, them kids should be paid, rightfully so. So, it's only gonna get bigger, and season 3 shooting starts on April the 24th. So, we're gonna see season 3 by probably late next year. We'll probably start seeing promotion for that rolling out by like Christmas time and stuff like that. By the next Super Bowl, they'll have like a trailer up and whatnot. So yeah, it's I'm definitely happy I've got that. But yeah, we're gonna do like a kind of like a swift transition from Stranger Things, but we're going into music now, and we just want to talk about a little bit of something me and Tom came up with. We're gonna drop music playlists to coincide with the releases. Well, not really with our releases, but we're gonna drop a weekly playlist. So you have to follow our social medias to see when we when we update the playlist. But we will also be archiving the playlist as well, so you can go back and listen to like the first one we ever did, or week 5 or whatever. And the playlist for Apple Music will be running off my account. So you just have to you can follow me, or you can follow the Spotify account. We're probably going to try and work on trying to get a playlist for other places, but it's just trying to get all the music licensed and stuff like that, so you can listen to it. Yeah, and that's
So I
don't know if you want to expand on that point there.
Yeah, I was just gonna expand on that. So the artwork for this will match the releases each week. So we plan to have the weekly playlist that Tairell's just mentioned, and then archive the playlist. But if you subscribe to that weekly playlist, the artwork and the songs will change for you per week. So you don't have to do anything for that. It will update per week for you. However, if you want to go back and you really like a playlist, you can go back and then pick it off. if you want to look for that, then search for 808s and Joysticks weekly playlist on Spotify or Apple Music, as Tairell has just mentioned. And my advice would be to follow the playlist. And obviously, if you do want to follow Tairell's account on Apple Music or the 808s and Joysticks account on Spotify, then feel free to do that. I'm just going to talk through what is actually on the playlist. So a few of the songs that we've actually put in this week, there's a lot of songs from our favourite artists, new and old. So, for example, Moon River by Frank Ocean, an artist that we both really like, that's on there. Bleach by Brockhampton, Mac DeMarco, so it's not all just the same sort of hip hop and stuff. And there's also, a few artists that you maybe haven't heard of on there that we like. So it's a mix of what we'd say is like some of our favourite songs of all time, some new songs, some new artists, and basically stuff that, we listened to or might have been listening to that week. And one of the songs on there that we have been listening to recently is After the Storm by Kali Uchis featuring Tyler the Creator and Bootsy Collins.
And funny you should say that, because Kali announced our album on Jimmy Fallon, and it's coming April the 6th. That's basically round the corner. And it's called Isolation, and her performance was just something else on Jimmy Fallon, and I really can't wait. I really can't wait for that album to come out, because I just know it's going to be really great. I like the vibes that she came with on that particular record, and hopefully the whole album kind of matches that vibe. But I feel like she will mix it up here and there, and catch us off guard, because she can adapt to different styles and stuff like that.
Yeah, so if you are unaware who Kali Uchis is, she's a singer who's got Colombian descent, and she released an EP back in 2015 called Por Vida, which is a 9-song EP. A lot of good songs on there. So if you are in the UK and you watch Jules Holland, she's been on there. She did Riding Round on there. Some of the other good songs on it are also Lottery or Loner, things like that. She also recently, in 2017, released a song with Georgia Smith called Tyrant. Now, that's one of my favourite songs towards the end of 2017. It's a song that I really enjoyed. And I also enjoyed Por Vida. So, again, I'm equally as excited for this album as you are, especially after her work with Tyler the Creator, that is, who we both like. And, having someone like Bootsy Collins as well on a song to promote an album. Basically, I'm going to guess this is the second or first single off this album. It gives me high hopes for the album.
Yeah, exactly. It gives me high hopes for the album as well, and I really hope that she I just really hope she lives up to my expectations, which I'm sure she will. Yeah, definitely. And there was the return of OVO Sound Radio this weekend, which had a guest mix by Othertone, also known as Pharrell Williams, and what's the guy's name? I always forget the guy's name.
I cannot remember off the top of my head. But basically, they did without that, they actually did Drake did an NERD remix. So, Lemon by NERD featuring Rihanna.
How I get it. The motherfucker. What does he say in his version? Does he change up the lyrics even a little?
I don't know, but it did not sound like that. It was a little bit better than that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
so,
gonna, me and Tom have a new segment where we're gonna just cover songs. No, I'm just...
we're not doing that. We discussed that.
Oh no,
It's
no,
not happening.
No, the lyrics goes as I get it how I live it. I live it how I get it.
God's plan.
Y'all don't really God's plan. Now y'all don't really get it. I pull up in a lemon. Blocks get to spinning. Money 3D printing. Ooh.
So it was a little verse on the song, but I liked it. I like OVO Radio where he does this stuff, and it's a little bit different. Something that not a lot of artists do a lot of the time. It's nice to see people just taking someone else's song and like just remixing something because it's their show and they're like, well, you're on the show, so we might as well do something over your song.
Yeah, it's true. But I thought it was a really good show. Like it started out with, typical Oliver, just like, hello guys, welcome back to OVO Sound Radio. This is Oliver. He's so soft spoken. This is Oliver North, and let's get into this mix. 6. Oh shit. Yeah, and then it's just been Drake after Drake really. Walk It, Talk It video came out, and that had Drake in it as well, and it was a pretty interesting video. Quite fun. I really liked it. It's probably gonna maybe win some type of like award or something because it was a really, really cool video. Very
I wasn't
by Soul Train and 70s.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't too sure in it to start with. I've watched it a few times now, and it's coming round to me. I always liked the concept. I always thought it looked amazing. I just didn't like the fact that the song didn't fit with it as much. But after watching it a few more times, it resonates with me a little bit more. I understand why they did it, and it's a little bit of a goof. I like it. It's good. It's nice to see people not taking themselves too seriously.
Yeah, see that's
good.
The thing that I like. I know for a fact they create that video to be memeable. So.
Oh yeah, I seen the behind the scenes of it. They definitely created that video to be memeable.
Yeah, exactly. So it's what drives like music and streaming, and that's all that matters these days is streaming and how many sales you can get and how fast you can go platinum and whatever. And this is the kind of stuff that would really drum it up, because YouTube counts towards streaming sales as well.
But the important question that sort of comes from that video as well is, would you like Drake to keep the greasy locks?
No. Why would I? What kind of fucking question is that? I don't want Drake to keep greasy ass. First of all, it's not greasy ass. I'm pretty sure that's Jerry Curl, or whatever. I don't know, perm. I don't know what the fuck he did, but whatever that is, but he's Joe. He just basically looked like. He just looked like a really more taller and butcher like Michael Jackson, coming out, especially with the moves as well. It's just like, Drake, you can't dance for shit.
He can try,
Yeah, he can try to.
Hotline Bling, classic dance move. That's.
I know when
that phenomenon that was. So, I think Drake's got that. He's got that niche. I must point out, Quavo did actually co-direct the video, so Drake had no participation in direction of the video, but he does have that niche of putting together a good music video that people sort of resonate with wildly, and it turns into a meme.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is about him. And what he does in his video. I think it is his dancing. It is. Well, I don't think it is. It is his dancing, but it's the fact that he sort of picked up on that early on, and it plays to it very well. And for him, it's added publicity then.
Yeah, exactly. He could just make it memeable. I don't think the God's Plan video was really intended to be memeable. That was really intended to be a good, heartfelt video.
Oh no, that was
But people just managed to meme it anyway. Somehow
Drake's
everything's just
reached that point now.
Now all you see is if something good happens, it's God's plan. God's Plan starts playing out of nowhere. I'm just like, what? Oh shit. Yeah. I think we're coming up to like our last topic now. It's just releases really.
So this is notable releases
Yeah. This
that
is
we listened to and enjoyed.
Yeah.
So if there are any notable releases that aren't on here, we either didn't listen to them or didn't enjoy them. So don't take that personally if you do like one of them. Yeah, this is our personal opinion. I'm not going to talk about something we don't like.
Yeah, it's like, well, also don't be afraid or shy. Like message us on Instagram or whatever, or DM us on Twitter if you want to give us any suggestions to listen to any music, and we'll try and get around to listening to it, or it may pop up in one of our weekly playlists. You never know. Right, let's get down to it. So,
where we starting?
I would say, well, notable releases. Oh, okay. I'll start my notable releases because I think you've got some of the same. Really been listening to Rob Bant's Marley World. A lot of anime references. A lot of them. There's a whole song on there called Griffith Did Nothing Wrong. If you watch Berserk, you would know why that whole song title is so wrong. But it's an interesting title. There's a lot of arguments for and against it. I would suggest listen to the album. It's got a real cool vibe. The beats are very, very 90s R&B inspired, and I just like the way how the songs sound. But then he also has the abrasive trap beats on there as well. So yeah, I would definitely give it a listen. Little Boat 2. There's about 4 good songs. The rest of it's garbage. Listen at your own at your own will.
Yeah, I skipped through it a lot, which is never a good sign for an album.
No, it's not.
It was mediocre at best. Yeah. I don't feel like it had anything that was like a solid song. Like you said, there's like 4 that are listenable and you could possibly enjoy it if you listened to it a few times and you really were into it. But I don't think that it's a good release from Lil Yachty. I think he could have done better, to be honest.
But that's the thing though. His last album wasn't great. Teenage Emotions was terrible. I hated that album. And then I thought, yeah, he's coming back with Little Boat 2. It just had so many tracks on there and so much filler. And his features were way better. Lil Pump's feature on Baby Daddy was sick. And Ugly God's feature on Boom.
I was surprised by that.
I was surprised. I was like, okay, Lil Pump. I was like, you have to go in like this. But yeah, Lil Boat 2, check it out if you really want to. I think we did we did mention this, but what's called it? Tory Lanez new album. I'm still listening to that, and it's really good. We haven't actually put that in the weekly playlist, but it'll probably pop up in one of them anyway. Memories Don't Die. If you like rap, proper rap, I'm talking bars, listen to that. But if you also like singing as well, he's a pretty talented singer and songwriter. Definitely listen to that album. I think Tom could, he can agree with me. It's a really good album.
Yeah, so there's a few songs on that. There's a few songs on the album that are a bit too clubby for me. They're typical, I don't know. They're what I'd say Chris Brown songs.
Yeah, it was mainstream appeal in it. Yeah, you gotta have some of those.
But yeah, there are some songs on there that I listen to. So there's a song with 50 Cent that's on there, and I listened to that and I was like, let's listen. I'm not expecting big things because 50 hasn't really been hitting the heights he used to hit. That song's great. There's no question about that song. That is a great song. 50 on that song was great. Tory Lanez on that song was great. The song in general is great. So I can't really complain with that. If an album's got a great song on it, then it's probably going to be a good album because some of the other songs are going to share production personnel. and it did end up there was probably 6 songs that I enjoyed on the album. I haven't listened to it a lot, but there are songs on that album that I enjoy listening to, and it would be something that I would put on. Is there any other albums that you want to talk about that you've been listening to, or notable releases that you think?
No, there's nothing. There's nothing. But I know things are coming soon. There is some albums that I know a lot of people are gearing up to like release things, but I don't have anything else to talk about. You got anything else to talk about, Tom?
So yeah, there's I've got 2 notable releases that aren't hip hop or anything. They're more alternative albums. So the Fratellis recently released a new album called In Your Own Sweet Time.
Yeah.
And that album is insanely good. It's not typical Fratellis that you would normally listen to, but songs like Star-Crossed Losers, The Next Time We Wed, Told You So, the album is basically, packed full of good songs and good quality songs that you don't have to stick to a genre to like, and they change a little bit throughout the album, so there's a few different styles that they pick up on. Yeah. But if you are a fan of alternative music, then I definitely suggest listening to the Fratellis album. Or if you're not, then maybe just give it a listen anyway and see what you think. And the other album that was interesting me is the Magic Gang's album called The Magic Gang, self-titled. But they're actually I think they're a 4-man band from Brighton in the UK. They're currently touring with Wolf Alice, and this album is incredibly good for a first album. Yeah. Again, it's an alternative album, but songs like Getting Along and Take Care are things you might have heard. So Getting Along is definitely a song I have heard on more than one occasion. It's probably been getting quite a lot of radio play because it's a song that would pick up a lot of radio play here in the UK. Yeah. But it's not for bad reasons. It is a solid album for like a first attempt, and it's got vibes to it of possibly like early Beatles in places. But it's an incredible album if you get the chance to listen to it. I definitely recommend it. It's something that you can put on and it's not as heavy hitting as something like hip hop or trap. So it's an alternative music album, which is great. And in our playlist there is a lot of alternative songs as well. But yeah, this is something that's a little bit different. And if you want to explore something new and a fresh band, then I definitely recommend listening to the Magic Gang and their self-titled album.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna definitely listen to it because you recommended me to listen to it earlier on, and I definitely will get in on that. Final thoughts, Tom, on this episode.
Final thoughts. Hope Drake shaves his hair again and gets rid of the grease.
Tom, he doesn't have that hair. Joy, yeah, you cut off from the final thoughts. My final thoughts is, PUBG is shook. Atlanta's great. Stranger Things getting in that money, and can't wait for the Kali album. OVO came back strong. A lot of great releases. A lot more are on the way as well, and I just feel like it's a positive episode. It did get a little bit negative in points, but I feel like we mostly talked as we had a lot of fun.
I feel like we covered a lot of good areas that we haven't done in previous shows.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like a little bit different, and the thing I'm most excited about is the release of those playlists. So we've been working on them for a week or two. It doesn't require a week or two's of work to put a playlist together, 25 songs, obviously, but it's something that we wanted to roll out correctly, and we don't just want to push it out there and say, "Oh, there, here you go." But we're interested to see how many people actually, listen to that and start following that, and then, if you are interested in a song that you think might be like viable to be on a playlist in the future, then you can feel free to contact us on any of the social medias or even drop us an email.
Yeah.
And we'll be happy to take a listen. The same goes for intro or outro songs that you feel would be relevant. Obviously, they've got to be. We tend to get most of the stuff from SoundCloud. If you listen to the end of the podcast, we do state who actually produced the songs that week from SoundCloud. But if there's any artists on SoundCloud that maybe could look to get a little bit more exposure, or you think, fit the style that we're going with for the intros and outros, then feel free to suggest that.
Definitely.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's it for episode 3. Thank you for listening, guys. Wherever you are, we're on everything. Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, we're on everything. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm really excited to carry on and see if we can grow our fan base some more. And I hope the playlist. I hope you enjoyed the playlist. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, but thank you again.
Yeah. Right. So, I think I'm finishing off. Thank you very much for listening. Listen to the Magic Gang. If you liked any of the music in today's show, then please search for Lord Fubu or Knowledge on SoundCloud.